In 1921, one of the darkest events in American history occurred in the Greenwood neighborhood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, known as Black Wall Street. Over a period of 2 days, a mob of white, violent, vigilante individuals laid waste to Greenwood, causing untold damage in the tens of millions and potentially leading to the death of nearly 300 people. The impact of the event still echoes today. Yet the pursuit of justice and reparations has been a frustratingly slow and challenging journey. Recently, the last three known survivors of this massacre, Leslie Benningfield Randall, Viola Fletcher, and Hughes Van Ellis, were dealt a blow when their lawsuit seeking reparations from the city of Tulsa was dismissed by Judge Caroline Wall. Now, the dismissal came despite this same judge having allowed the case to proceed last year. These survivors, all in their hundreds, alongside their attorney, Damario Solomon-Simmons, founder of Justice for Greenwood, have pledged to appeal the decision to the Oklahoma Supreme Court. They've also called on the federal government to conduct an investigation into this massacre. They're calling on the DOJ to open up a case. In light of this ongoing legal battle, I have the honor and privilege of having attorney Damario Solomon-Simmons joining me on AURN. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited and looking forward to talking to you and your listeners.
Absolutely. Damario, help us understand why the lawsuit classified as a public nuisance was dismissed, and how does this relate to the legal standards in Oklahoma?
Well, our Judge Caroline Wall, stated in just a new recent filing or order that we just received today that she specifically dismissed our case because she says that we did not present a legal remedy, public nuisance abatement remedy that she could move forward with, and therefore she didn't want to be managing, lack of a better term, issues that should be dealt with by the legislative and executive branches of government. We totally 100% disagree with that. This was at this stage what's called a motion to dismiss. So when you file a lawsuit, you file your petition, the other side files their motion to dismiss, then you have a opportunity to tell the court why your case should move forward. The standard is very low. So if you're saying beyond a reasonable doubt is way up here and preponderance of evidence is right here, motion to dismiss is way down here. Literally, because you're not presenting any evidence, you're not taking any testimony. It's not any, no one's at trial. No one's saying, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She's literally looking at the documents and saying, hey, did they put forward facts that state a claim that we should be able to move forward in discovery and have a trial on? We did that, but she still dismissed us.
Which was just ringing with me and alarming, because this is the same judge who last year said to move forward with it. And my thinking was, okay, what happened between that last year and now?
Yeah, that's the thing. On May 2nd, 2022, we had a court hearing that lasted several hours. The three known living survivors, my clients, Viola Fletcher, 109, Leslie Benningfield Randall, 108, and Hughes Van Ellis, 102, who was the brother of Viola Fletcher. They were all there. It was a packed courtroom. Community members from all around the city, national leaders like Sheila Jackson Lee, Barbara Arwine, and many, many others. And we all heard with our own ears, Judge Wall state that she was denying in part and granting in part the motion to dismiss by the defendants. We all understood that to mean that this case will move forward into discovery, and then we have an opportunity to prove our case at a trial. That's what we thought was going to happen. Unfortunately, it did not.
So now you are vowing to appeal. And I saw during an interview with Miss Viola Fletcher, who I feel like calling her just Ma, because her level of hope and faith is so strong.
Right.
And she basically was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
I'm going to be here to see this through. And then I
Right.
heard before you talking about how the devastating call you had to make to them, initially letting them know what happened, that the judge tossed this out. How are your spirits now, and how are they holding up?
Well, I'll tell you, at the time, that's been almost a week. That happened on Friday night. And you were right. I was literally about to go to dinner with my beautiful wife, Mia, and we were about to park the car. She was gonna get in the driver's seat. I was gonna go out and order the food. And I see a text message come in. I look at the text, and it's from a reporter, and it says, "Do you care to comment on the dismissal of the Greenwood race massacre case?" And and my wife said, "What's going on? What's wrong?" I said,
Mm,
"My case dismissed." I was like, "No, no way." I go to the court's website. I looked the case up, and it was like I got hit with a 500-pound sledgehammer. I was just blown away. I was blown away that we were dismissed. I was blown away it was done on a Friday, late Friday evening with no notice. I'm blown away that I'm learning about it from a reporter, and then I'm crushed. I'm depressed. I'm dejected. I'm moved to tears. Then I have to get myself together as best I possibly can. I know I got to call my clients because I don't want them to go through what I just went through and learn about this on the news or some third party and have to give them a call and tell them that despite what we heard in May of 2022, now the court is kicking our entire case out. And when they asked me why, I had absolutely no answers for them because at that time, we didn't even have the order. We didn't even know what it said. We just knew we were dismissed. And so it was a very sad, somber, heavy moment. And I be honest with you, Ebony, I that stayed with me for about 36 hours. I mean, I had a pounding headache. I couldn't sleep. I was crying. I was devastated. I was
absolutely.
devastated. We've done so much work on this issue. We have so much support. The law is on our side. These people are 109. We're trying to get something done before they pass away. I mean, all of those emotions. But I would say, since we got back on Monday, we got to our press conference, and now we're focusing on the appellate process, and we're focusing on continuing this fight. As I stated to the community and my clients, this is not over. So I feel strong. I feel resilient, and I feel like we're still going to win. Now you may be thinking I'm crazy because 102 years they've said no, but
Right.
I feel like God still has the final say, and I believe we will win in the end.
Oh man, I love that spirit. I do. And I can only imagine that being around the survivors has just kind of kicked it up a notch for you, because they've been waiting longer than many of us have ever, I mean, longer than all of us have even known about this story. I want to, so in this appeal and in this pursuit, you're also looking on a federal level and trying to get Biden to get the Department of Justice, working through Kristen Clark, to also pursue this. Have you heard anything or any reaction from anyone within the administration?
Well, yeah, we have not heard anything from any of the executive branch. We have had a couple of congressional members, specifically Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Congressman Hank Johnson, who've been longtime supporters. They've reached out, checked on me, checked on the survivors. We definitely appreciate that. But to date, we have not heard from my dear sister Kristen Clark. We know she's a civil rights, champion. We know she's someone that believes and civil rights and social justice and trying to do the right thing. But we also understand she, at this present time, is not a civil rights leader. She is an attorney, assistant attorney general for the Department of Justice over civil rights. So we have to push her like we would push anyone else in that position. And that's what we've been doing for the last 2.5 years. We've been meeting with them. We've sent them, I don't know, 1,000 pages of documents. We've had Zoom meetings, in-person meetings. We had a meeting in May of this past May of 2023 where two of the survivors, 109-year-old Viola Ford Fletcher and 102-year-old Hughes Van Ellis and myself, we flew to Washington, D.C.
Remember.
and actually met with the Department of Justice. But to date, they still have not made a decision if they're going to open an investigation. And what I told them, and what we all need to be thinking about, is if the Department of Justice cannot investigate the largest crime scene in the history of this country, the biggest, most dangerous, most deadly race massacre in the history of this country, what good is having a Department of Justice?
With the survivors, we're not talking about people where you got to go back and try to figure out what happened. Like, they are here in
Right.
flesh. I'm with
That's
my
right.
We ain't going nowhere.
That's
We
right.
are not going anywhere.
That's
This
right.
on the backs of this, the city raised $30 million in tourism for the Greenwood project.
Right.
Talk about the disparity in how the city profits from this Greenwood legacy while denying these reparations for the massacre survivors. I remember I covered the extensive, the anniversary of it, and hearing from the city officials and all those, even the mayor, and you have the survivors there that receive nothing.
Zero, not one dime, not one penny. And you're right, they raised over $30 million to create what they call a tourism, cultural tourism. They benefited themselves. The same perpetrators of the massacre are now benefiting from telling the story in their own narrative way, in a way that makes them feel good, makes them look better. When the fact of the matter is, as you stated, no one has given anything to the survivors and the descendants of the massacre but third parties. Even my organization, Justice for Greenwood, we were the first to step up and provide a grant of $100,000 per survivor. We were the first to do that. We did that not as reparations, but we wanted to model what we wanted to see done by the governmental officials. And I'm happy to say that there were many other private entities that took our lead and decided we're going to do what we can for these survivors. But that's not reparations. That's not restorative justice. That's charity. What we're talking about is restorative justice and reparations, and justice to occur for a city and a chamber and a county to admit, this is what we've done. We've harmed you. We want to make it right. And this is how we're going to make it right. That has not happened to this very day you and I are talking.
The sad thing is, when I think about this, I think about so many other Black Wall Streets that were around this country and were decimated, that were destroyed. So many living survivors, children or grandchildren, who saw their legacy destroyed, stolen, taken, whether it be eminent domain, whatever it was government sanctioned violence in their communities, right?
Yep.
Who aren't on the big stages, who we don't know about, but whose family legacy and generational wealth was destroyed because of that.
That's why we make it very clear, particularly at Justice for Greenwood, our organization. Anybody wants to stand with us, justiceforgreenwood.org, connect with us, sign up for our newsletter, make a donation. This work is very taxing. It's very expensive. And when I say expensive, I'm talking about mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and of course, financial, for all the work that we're doing with our survivors and our descendants throughout this nation. And the thing that we always make clear about Tulsa and Greenwood, we understand that there were massacres all across this country. Everywhere Black people basically have been, anytime we've done good, they destroyed us. The thing that makes the massacre unique and why it's so important to all of us as Black Americans, African Americans, is that the scope and the scale of the massacre, talking about 40 city blocks, you're talking about 12 to 15,000 people impacted. You're talking about, now the official number is up to 300, but let me tell you a little secret.
I believe it's way more. I quote that and I'm like, okay.
It's 3,000 people we never heard from again. Okay. So we don't know what happened to them. We just know on May 30th, they were in Greenwood. And after May 31st, June 1st, we never heard from them again. Okay. 3,000 people. We know there was over 8,000 people that was in homeless camps for up to 6 months without any place to go, but living in tents by the Red Cross. We understand that according to Harvard University, you got to quote some big Ivy League school for people to take you serious. Harvard University came out with their study 2 years ago and said that property damage alone will be $200 million in today's value. That's just the property damage. That's not the generational wealth from businesses. Right. It's not the lives lost. That's not the generational emotional damage that we still carry to this very, very day. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars in damages that ricocheted and impacted Black people, not just in Tulsa, not just in Oklahoma, but the entire United States of America. Do you know there were studies that come out that showed that after the massacre, Black people for decades stopped wanting to show wealth. They stopped wanting to do patents. They stopped wanting to do intellectual property because they did not want to be perceived as too successful and may get bombed out like Tulsa did.
I never get used to hearing about the stories, reading about what happened. And you when you do that, you have to correlate it to what we're seeing today with the rollback of rights, what our young Black brothers and sisters are still struggling with, and then looking at the generational wealth gap. As I end, there was a quote by one of the survivors that said, "We lost more than just property," which you were saying in the Tulsa Race Massacre. We lost a sense of security, justice, and the prosperity of a generation, but we have not lost our spirit or our resolve. We will continue to seek justice and reparations until the city of Tulsa recognizes the atrocities that were committed and makes amends for the generational trauma inflicted on the Black community. This is a sobering reminder of the echoes of past injustices and the long, arduous path to achieve justice and healing. I'll give you the last words. What is it that you want people to, as you continue your fight?
What I want people to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what is it that you want people to consider or to know?
What we want people to do is not just know about what we're doing and not just pray about it and say, "Oh, we're on your hearts and minds." We want you to connect with and join in this fight. What I tell my survivors is that, and what they tell me is that they are happy to be on the front lines, fighting for truth, justice, and reparations for all African-American people, particularly those who suffered through the massacre. But they love to know that they have a nation of people that's working with them. So that means connecting with us at justiceforgreenwood.org. That is joining our newsletter. That is signing our petitions. That is making the phone calls when we ask you to call our dear sister, Christian Clark, email our dear sister, Christian Clark, send in a donation. If you can send $5, send $5. If you can send $50, send $50. If you can send $500, send $500. Whatever you can do, so you can have a stake in this, not just from listening about it, not just from sharing our information, but you actually are part of this, and you're part of the Justice for Greenwood Network, which is a nationwide network of survivors, descendants, attorneys, activists, academics, and regular people who believe in truth, justice, and reparations for the toilage and the destruction that we've suffered here in America over the last 400 years, which is best understood through the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Thank you so much. Give us the website one more time. We will have it up so people can go and follow the instructions, the directive that you just gave us. What is that website again?
The website is justiceforgreenwood.org. You can always connect with us on all our social media platforms at Justice for Greenwood, and you can connect with me at Attorney Damario.
Attorney Damario Solomon, which every time I see your middle name, I really want to call you Solomon because God knows, and it's how wisdom right. Foremost. Attorney, so let me just, I'm gonna have to edit over that. Okay. Attorney Damario Solomon-Simmons, thank you so much for joining us on AURN. I look forward to having you back again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. You do great work, and I'm so appreciative of this network caring about our issue.
Absolutely.